That's a good question. Does anybody know the password?
Yes,
I do not.
The guest password for?
maybe the video guy knows.
He probably does. Yeah.
Do you want me to ask?
Yeah.
I can go ask.
Sorry, we're just waiting for a technical issue, and then we'll get going right away. Yeah, if you have, yeah, if you do, you can distribute that. You counsel for the applicant? Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay. I think that doesn't work. Or BORL hyphen yes. Oh, okay.
Great, thank you.
I think it prompts me to just uppercase or.
Yeah, I think you, yeah, capital B.
UGH or?
No, BORO.
And then-
BORO. Capital GUEST. One word. Oh, thank you. Oh, great.
Are you all set?
No, it's not connecting.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think hers laptop. Is it okay to start though?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you gotta put the you have to turn it on, but yeah. Okay, we're gonna get going. My name's Stephen Hoppy. I was recently reelected to the zoning board, and so that's going to require us to start our evening with a little bit of reorganization of the board. So I'm. Yes, I'm going to do that in just a second. Yeah. So we'll do a roll call first, and then we're going to make nominations for our board structure. So Suzanne, as the secretary, would you please initiate the roll call?
I wasn't expecting that.
Sorry, I think it has to be you.
Stephen Hoppy.
I'm here.
Hussam Jalad.
Here.
Maureen Burke Carlton.
Present here.
Michael's not here this evening. It's Talia.
Representing him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
Anna Genhardt.
and Lorraine Robinson, absent.
Okay. So to reorganize the zoning board, we will open the floor for nominations for chairman.
I will make a motion to nominate Stephen Hoppy to chairman.
I second.
And everybody in favor?
Yes.
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 That passes. I will open up nominations for secretary. I nominate Suzanne Zukowski for secretary.
I second.
Everybody in favor?
Yes.
Yes. That motion passes. And that concludes reorganization of the board. Okay, thank you very much. Next thing, we need to approve some minutes. We're going to start with Monday, June 5th, 2023, regarding the Jacqueline and Dan Decker, also known as Discovery Daycare of Morrisville. You have a copy of the minutes before you. I motion to approve the minutes of Monday, June 5th, 2023.
I second.
All in favor? Yes. That motion passes. Next, we're going to approve the minutes of Monday, August 7th, 2023, regarding Area Enclosures, Inc. of Bristol for Americana Apartments. I motion to approve the minutes Monday, August 7th, 2023. Anybody second?
A second.
Great. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. And that motion passes. Okay, so to get to this evening's business, we're going to start by having Suzanne, as secretary, read the notice of zoning as submitted by the applicant, Chesapeake Pines, PA, LLC, of 225 Plaza Boulevard, Morrisville, Pennsylvania, 19067.
Can I interrupt for 1 second before Suzanne begins? Just to clarify and for the record that the meeting that was held prior to us when we were convened in the back room was for the sake of the reorganization meeting and for nothing else. Just wanted to get that in the minutes, so thank you. Apologies. Suzanne, you can move ahead.
Thank you. Notice is hereby given that the Morrisville Borough Zoning Hearing Board will hold a public hearing on Monday evening, March 4th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of Morrisville Municipal Building, 35 Union Street, Morrisville, Pennsylvania, 19067, in the matter of the petition of Chesapeake Pines, PA 6, LLC, for the premises located at 225 Plaza Boulevard, Morrisville, PA 19067, Bucks County Map 24-001-001-001. The petitioner intends to use the property as a car wash. Use E4. This is a pre-existing nonconformity within the C2 Commercial Zoning District. The applicant is requesting the following variances from the Morrisville Borough Zoning Ordinance. Number 1, variance from section 465-38L to permit 12 parking spaces instead of the required 56. From section 465-40A to permit parking stalls to have a depth of 18 feet instead of the required 20 feet. And number 3, from 465-40D to permit 2 driveways on a property with less than 400 feet frontage. Documents relating to this matter will be available for inspection during normal business hours at the office of the zoning department at the Morrisville Borough Hall, 35 Union Street, Morrisville, Pennsylvania, 19067. All persons in favor of or in opposition to granting this application may be heard at the above place and time.
Thank you, Suzanne. I'm going to ask Anna to verify that this notice was properly posted with all the legal requirements.
Yes, it was.
And that was the notice that was posted, correct, in that language? Great. Okay, next I'm going to ask Ms. Carlton to go ahead and let the applicant, to ask if anybody wants party status and to swear in the applicant.
Correct, yes. I'm going to ask anybody in the audience, I think I know the answer already, but does anybody request party status? Party status is allowed for anyone who lives or owns property in close proximity to the subject property. You should elect party status if you want to have the opportunity tonight to question the witnesses and present witnesses. Party status also gives one an opportunity to file an appeal. Everyone who wants to will be able to make comments later in the hearing. Only those persons who elect party status will be able to directly question witnesses and file an appeal. Does anybody in the audience wish to file or elect party status?
I'm going to register, but I'm not in opposition, but I'm going to register.
Okay,
The owner of the shopping center.
Sure.
as a whole, that's fine, sir. Could you just stand up at the podium and just give us your name and your address?
Peter Abrams. We are the owners of Pensbury Plaza. My address is 310 Yorktown Plaza, Elkins Park, Pennsylvania 19027.
Thank you.
And we have no objection.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Okay, I'd like to, at this time, enter into the record the board exhibits. We'll mark as B1 the application, B2 the notice that was just read by Ms. Ginhart, and I got that right. And B3 the applicable provisions of the borough zoning ordinance, specifically sections 465-38-L. Section 465-40-A and Section 465-40.D and Article 10, Table 465-17 related to definition of variances. Are there any objections to the board's exhibits?
No objections.
Thank you. It's the applicant's case to make at this point.
All right, thank you. Good evening, Mike McGinnis from Begley Carlin, here on behalf of the applicant and property owner, Chesapeake Pines. Chesapeake Pines owns the property located at 225 Plaza Boulevard in the borough, which Heath is highlighting for your consideration. This is the home of the former Plaza Car Wash. It is located in the C2 district and is approximately over 1 acre. I do want to add one additional housekeeping item at the outset. The notice that was read listed that we were asking for 3 variances, 2 of which relate to parking. The third variance relates to points of ingress and egress. Submission to the borough allowed us to confirm with the zoning officer that the third variance that was listed is not necessary, as it's a continuation of a pre-existing non-conforming condition. So I did just want to state that we will be withdrawing that variance request at the beginning. What we're here for is the construction, first I guess the demolition of the existing building, but then the construction of a Tommy's Car Wash. You're going to be hearing this evening, I think, a lot about what makes Tommy's different, both from the Plaza Car Wash and also from other car washes that you might be familiar with. I'm going to highlight at the outset just a couple points that I want to set the table for the conversation, and then Trevor Sperry, who's with me this evening on behalf of Chesapeake Pines, is going to, as part of his testimony, provide significantly more flavor and detail to the board. So a couple things that I think are worth noting. First, Tommy's is one of the highest grossing American franchises across any platform, period. I think Tommy's is third behind Panera and Chick-fil-A, I believe. It is the largest car wash franchise in the country. Tommy's business model is predicated on providing a different and viable retail experience in the form of employment for its employees. And I know when we go to different municipalities, and we've presented in different municipalities on Tommy's behalf as they are acquiring additional land in the county, people tend to first sort of roll their eyes and say, it's a car wash. You know, what is this going to be able to do for employees? And we try not to oversell it, but there is an actual career path in retail here. Tommy's provides equity ownership stakes, revenue shares, and benefits to their employees, which again, Trevor will detail in greater depth in a second. Tommy's has a fully automated process. Licenses are scanned because there's a membership system that's offered. That is not the only mechanism to have your car washed at the site, but again, we'll get into this more as part of testimony. But the way Tommy's operates allows for a more efficient processing of vehicles. And depending upon where you are, for example, we recently went through the approval process along Roosevelt Boulevard in Ben Salem. Queuing and stacking out on the major thoroughfares is a huge concern. So efficiency, timing, and to make sure that stacking is not an issue is always a paramount concern. And you'll hear some testimony about what differentiates Tommy's from some of its competition. And then the last item with Tommy's that I wanted to bring to your attention is there is a heavy investment into green energy and sustainability at their sites. Tommy's emphasizes things like water reclamation tanks and tempered glass with their building design. And we handed up a packet, and this will get into the next point in a second, but shows examples of Tommy's car washes and the construction. And I think you can see, I hope you can see as part of that, the care, the aesthetic design, some of the environmental features that Tommy's puts into their car washes that might be different from other car washes that you're familiar with. From a big picture, 30,000 foot view standpoint, the application I think is fairly simple actually. We're replacing an older car wash with some bias, but what I believe to be a significantly nicer car wash with improved performance standards and actually improved dimensional criteria with respect to zoning as well. Tommy's team, Trevor's group, is going to invest probably in excess of $10 million in the site, inclusive of acquisition and then build costs. The existing car wash is going to be demolished. Not sure if it's obvious just looking at the site plan, but the Plaza Car Wash is significantly larger than what we're proposing. This is a smaller building. It is significantly more centered on the site. The existing car wash is basically entirely within one of the side yard setbacks. The result of our application, and then hopefully future construction, is going to eliminate a number of pre-existing non-conforming conditions. So again, to give you an example, I just highlighted the side yard setback that goes away as part of this development. We're bringing all the setbacks into conformance. There is no green space as part of this current operation. We are drastically improving the impervious surface percentage on site by adding green space. I think we have calculated about 9,600 square feet of impervious surface reduction as part of this. I think the building reduction is a little over 5,000 square feet. The relief that we need really relates to existing conditions. There's an argument, I'm going to make it because we're here at the zoning hearing board. We're trying to be conservative and go through the right process. We did a sketch plan submission. We took feedback from the planning commission, revised the application, came in front of council again to get their feedback. But we're here for parking, both the parking count as well as the dimensions. The current Plaza Car Wash has 12 parking spaces. And in your ordinance, parking is premised upon the square footage of the building. So we are basically halving the building size, and we're keeping the exact same number of parking spaces. That does not include the vacuum spaces. And you're going to hear as part of Trevor's testimony with how Tommy's operates that this is an extremely overparked situation for our use. Because of the automated process, there is no customer access to the interior. There's not a situation where somebody parks and they come in to buy air fresheners. You go through the tunnel, you exit, and you either leave or you go into one of the vacuum areas. There is no reason ever for anybody to park in a non-vacuum delineated parking spot. The exception is for the employees, and on Tommy's largest shift, there will be 4 or 5 employees. So there should never be a situation where even half of the parking spaces are occupied. The other relief that we're seeking, I would suggest, is de minimis. I know there are a number of modern developments that have a 9x18 design. We are asking for 10x18, so basically to cut 2 feet off of the 10x20 requirement. In all other ways, we are either compliant, eliminating non-conforming conditions or reducing non-conformities on site. And at the end of the day, I think the borough is going to be very pleased with the result in comparison to the existing conditions. So if it works for the board, what I would like to do, and I don't know if you want Mr. Dumack and Mr. Sperry sworn in at the same time or just one at a time, but I'd like to offer Mr. Sperry first for testimony, if that's okay.
It's for them both in at the same time,
Yeah.
please.
All right, Trevor, can you please state your name for the record?
Trevor Sperry.
Okay. And can you give the board just a brief bit of background about yourself and your role with Chesapeake Pines?
Yes, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Chesapeake Pines, or more commonly known as Olympus Pines, functioning as Chesapeake Pines.
Okay. And you purchased 225 Plaza Boulevard, is that correct?
That's correct.
And that is the home of the former Plaza Car Wash in the borough?
Correct.
All right. And your proposal is to operate a Tommy's Car Wash?
That's correct.
Can you explain your relationship with Tommy's?
Yeah, we are a franchisee, and we have the rights to develop the greater Philadelphia metro area.
I highlighted some of the areas, but can you explain in your words what makes Tommy's different in terms of membership, automated processes, et cetera?
Yeah, so starting with the people first, that's what's most important to us. So we treat our employees extremely well, as Mr. McGinnis mentioned. Our site leaders and others will get paid very well, well above minimum wage, in some cases into the six-figure range. We provide revenue share, equity, as well as commissions based off how well we do. We share our financials with the site leaders so they know exactly how much money they are taking home and employees are taking home versus what goes back to corporation. And we also we want to provide a lot of training and advancement for people. We have scholarship programs, training programs, and these are very I was fortunate to have a good education, but some of my family members didn't, and my co-founder was a fighter pilot in the Navy. And so we really focus on people who need better jobs, mostly blue-collar workers, and try to provide them training and education so they can really provide, we can provide a career for them here. What sets Tommy's apart from a car wash perspective is a few different things. As Mr. McGinnis mentioned, so our buildings are built to be LEED certified. We don't LEED certify them because it's just too much process, but we reclaim the majority of the water that we use. There's an acrylic roof, so we also harvest a lot of sunlight. We don't need a lot of internal, I call fake lighting because of all the windows. There's windows that line up both sides of the building, an acrylic roof on top. It's very green, it's very clean. We focus on processing speed. Our focus is on convenience. You can get a chicken sandwich nearly anywhere. They about taste the exact same if we all did a blind taste test, but everyone has their favorite chicken restaurant. And mostly it's because of customer service and processing. And you even see a line sometimes, and you're going to get in and out pretty quickly. So at this location, we can process about 190 cars an hour without even backing up to the end of our building.
Okay.
So let alone our parking lot or the private drive. We can process 180 an hour without even getting to the back of our building. We do that because we have redundancies built into the tunnels. So from a wash perspective, we're actually washing your car about 1.5 times when you go through because there's redundant brushes. So when we pick up the speed of the belt, you're still getting the same quality of car wash. The second thing that really sets us apart is if you've been in the majority of car washes that have what we call a chain and roller system, it's when you're going in and you see the two metal bars in a chain and they're like guiding you in and you're worried about it scratching, and then you get on it and it's like 1960 in Disneyland, like yanking you through. When you pull into ours, every piece of this is engineered for processing speed. So there's a slight grade into the tunnel, so you're riding your brake onto a moving walkway where you put your own car in neutral and it moves you along. We can wash dualies, we can wash lifted vehicles, we can wash low-riding vehicles, we can wash anything. We actually wash a group of hearses at one of our locations because we can fit anything because it doesn't matter how wide your wheelbase is because our entire walkway, once you get in, moves to get you in and out.
And one of the things, actually, it's interesting you point that out. We're talking about some of our different presentations about the space on either side of the belt.
Yeah.
So can you just detail how that differentiates you from some of your competition where it's a more enclosed tunnel?
Yeah, so first, as you mentioned, you typically have, whether it's cinder block or a very dark tunnel when you're going through it. And all of our studies have shown that, even think about your own consumer preferences. If it's the lighter it is and the more space you have, the cleaner and the safer that you feel. And that applies to our customers. It also applies to our employees. And so on either side of a typical car wash, you have about 2, maybe 3 feet. And in ours, you have 8 feet on one side and 13 feet on the other. That allows employees to be able to do routine cleaning while being completely safe. It also allows consumers to feel like they have a lot of room, that it's safe and it's clean and it's airy.
Can you just, sorry to interrupt, can you just clarify, so it's inside the building, the tunnel has that much clearance on the sides?
Yeah, so if you were in the car wash and, the water hits your windows, you can see outside. You'd see windows in the parking lot on one side, you'd see windows in the other parking lot on the other side, and then you'd see a lot of room on either side of the car wash.
And in fact, in some of the other presentations, we've heard compliments from fire marshals, for example, in terms of access in an emergency situation because of the width on either side to be able to get into a car in a tunnel. Is that correct?
Yeah, so two ways. If you can, Heath, if you can point to the bailout lane. So we do 2 things. We actually watch a fair amount of government vehicles, including a lot of police departments, and that's called a bailout lane. So if you come around the lanes and you're about to go into the tunnel, but you get an emergency call, you can get out very easily right there, and that happens sometimes. It also happens when people get a little gun shy and they want to leave, or there's an accident, or they're just trying to use the vacuums or something, but there's a lane there. The second thing is, fortunately, we haven't had to have emergency services in the tunnels, but there is a lot of room if there ever were a car to get stuck or there to be an emergency event.
And you were touching on a bit with community service and involvement. And one of the things that you actually mentioned, I think the council, that I think would be worth noting here is sponsorship or investment in the community. I think you said once a quarter, and go point to do things. If you can expand upon that for the ZHB.
Yeah, so outside of employment and scholarship opportunities for local workers here, we try to do, during our grand opening, we'll pick a local organization, and a lot of the profits over that grand opening will go to that organization. And then typically once a quarter, we do an event where we split the profits on a Saturday. We just had Girl Scouts, and they were selling boxes of cookies out there. We try to just partner with any organization that would like to once a quarter. And we also have, we also do fundraising. So when I grew up, I had to go knock doors for my baseball team and sell who knows what. But now we allow, car wash is a very, very easy fundraiser for a lot of people, whether it's a drama team or whatever it is. And so we also provide really easy fundraising opportunities.
Okay. Can you just do you touched on some of it, but just I think it would be useful to do like a 90-second walkthrough for the board about, Mike wants to go get his car washed. What does that process look like, generally speaking?
Yeah. So you can pull into that lane. There's 3 lanes once you come in, and they each have, just for lack of better, just to help you visualize, kind of like an easy pass, like an arm that goes down. The outer 2 lanes are referred to as app lanes. So those are for people who are members or who have the app, who you can still come whenever you want. You put your credit card info on there, and every time you come, it just charges you. The inside lane is the cashier, to answer questions about the wash packages or about memberships, or just to help you out. Those 3 lanes go into, one lane, and it goes into the moving walkway and out of the building. Once you're out, you can choose to use the free vacuums that we offer. We don't vacuum your car, and we also don't do any sort of interior cleaning. So 4 out of every 5 vehicles will leave the site and go back onto the road. 1 out of every 5 will stay and do their own self vacuums. We don't offer any sort of, I wouldn't call them towels, or I would say rags, or anything that can be left behind. We also do hourly walkthroughs where we sweep the parking lot, and there's cleaning and empty out the garbage cans at each vacuum stanchion.
What's the pricing?
Yeah, so the way we view it is kind of, we never want to price people out of the market. So for a single wash is $12, and that includes the free vacuums and the free mat washers for a single time. And then it goes up to $24 for a single time for the top package, which includes tire shine and ceramic wax and everything like that. We also offer monthly memberships. The top monthly membership is around $49, and that's unlimited times that you would like to come. The record that we've seen is 71 times in a month. I don't know why. That's our
a dirty
personal
car.
record. And then the lowest one is still only $24.99 for unlimited washing.
Part of this particular design is to eliminate significant portion of impervious surface. Is that right?
Correct.
So this, once it's built, will have significantly more green space than it does currently.
That is correct.
And that will help with things like, stormwater runoff off this site, correct?
Correct.
In terms of the hours, can you get into things like the hours of operation
Yeah.
and how your employee count works?
Yeah, so we are open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. And then at 8 p.m. we put out balls. They kind of look like the red balls in front of a Target. They look kind of immovable, so people can't get into the parking lot. So we also turn off the vacuums, so people can't be in the parking lot vacuuming past 8 p.m. We open with about 2 people in the middle of the day during a rush. We have about 3 to 4 people. On a weekend, maybe 5 people. And we close down with about 2 people as well. Then on Sundays, we operate typically from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m.
And you said at the council meeting that you're certainly happy and will target the Morrisville community in terms of your employees once this is open. Is that correct?
Definitely.
Okay. I made a representation at the outset that people don't get out of their car at any point in this process, nor do they come inside for anything other than if they elect to use their vacuums afterwards. Is that true?
Correct.
Okay. So we're asking for parking variance in terms of the number of spaces. Is that right?
Correct.
All right. And understanding is that we're keeping the same number of parking only dedicated spaces. And then on top of that, we have the additional vacuum spaces. Is that a correct statement?
That's correct. And the only difference is the vacuum spaces are a little bit wider. So that way when you open up your car doors to vacuum, you're not hitting the person next to you's car doors as they're vacuuming.
Okay.
But they're fully functional parking spots if need be.
They're also 18 feet deep. Yeah, so they match the other spots, just wider.
Yes.
Okay.
In our parking count, the 12 spaces, that does not include the vacuum spaces.
Correct.
Is there ever a scenario where 12 parking spaces would be utilized on this property?
Not that I can think of or imagine.
Okay. Customers, you're not selling any items to the interior of the building that would have anybody parking after they get their car washed come in to purchase memorabilia, for example.
No, our buildings are off limits to all customers. There's an exterior bathroom that we offer, but that's the only time you'd ever be in the building.
Okay. And then just very briefly, from a traffic standpoint, you were talking about how the automated process and the efficiency differentiates Tommy's from some of your competition.
Yeah.
We provided for a different municipality actual video evidence of Tommy's processing, I think around 3,500 cars in a single day without it ever stacking onto the road. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's about 3,250.
Okay. So you're quite confident with this site that you will be able to contain all of the traffic to the interior of the site?
Yeah, completely. So to give you a sense, inside the building, we can fit 5 vehicles. And then around what we call the pork chop, you can fit another 5 vehicles. And then you can, with the 3 lanes, you can stack about, Heath, how many per lane? About 6 vehicles just to get to the end of our building. Yeah, so about 20 to 30 vehicles at a time before you're even to the back of our building. And like I said, we can process 180 an hour. So even if we were giving away free washes and pulling people off the highway, I can't imagine a scenario where we'd back up to the Plaza Boulevard.
And the risk of being redundant, which I am on occasion, but because as a board we appeared in front of, confused by this, you're not going to be washing 3,200 cars a day. You just have the capacity in an emergency scenario to process an extreme number of vehicles.
Yeah, my student loans would be paid off by now.
Do you have an estimate of how many,
you
expected peak?
Yeah, about 40 or 50 during the week, and then on a weekend you may get 80 or 90. We've washed as many as at our locations, 130. But that's like on a Saturday, at noon. But it's on average it's about 350 to 450 a day.
Is there any reason in your mind why this would be detrimental to the neighboring area or to the shopping center?
No.
I have nothing further for Mr. Sperry.
We did actually, looking at the plans, I had a question about right in the first drive lane, there's 4 rectangles, 3 of them have 2 circles. Is that an underground utility?
Those are reclamation tanks?
Yeah, that's what I thought they were.
Those
Okay.
are what recycled water.
Okay. You said no retail. You mentioned a bathroom that has an exterior door?
Yeah. It's,
Okay.
you can point to it right on the end, on the other side. Yeah, no worries. It's,
That's fine, yeah.
it's right.
Okay. And both that and the main building, I'm assuming, are secured off hours?
Yeah, we lock them both, and we have a lot of cameras up, but we keep
Okay.
the lights on.
Okay.
Do you, out of curiosity, is there a way to, do you offer towels after the car wash or?
So we don't. You can get a detail kit for $3. It includes an air freshener and an Armor All wipe and a Windex wipe, and then it has like a microfiber towel in it. But we don't hand out towels.
So the car is dry when it comes out?
Yeah.
Like
So we
completely
have
dry.
we have 2 heated blowers at the end, as well as 18 blowers. And then the last, to get nerdy in car washing, the farther you go in the tunnel, the cleaner the water gets, right? 'Cause at the beginning, we're just knocking off mud and dirt and bugs.
Mm-hmm.
But by the end, your car is pretty clean. So the last arches of the wash are reverse osmosis, like perfectly clean water.
Mm-hmm.
And then we dry it all. And then by the time you get home, your car is dry. But because the water there's no mineral content,
Got it.
there's no hard watermarks or any watermarks.
You mentioned lighting. I see a few fixtures on here. So you're adding lighting for the spots, I'm assuming?
Yeah. Heath can answer where the lighting will go, but it's all, there's no light pollution in terms of it's all contained to our site. We like to keep it well lit so people feel safe, especially our employees at all times. But there's no crazy.
No, but you keep the lot illuminated overnight then.
That's correct.
We'd have to submit a lighting plan as part of.
You do, okay. What other question I have? Did that one? Anybody come in just for the vacuums? Like, do you have cross traffic for that?
Not often. There will
Okay.
be a couple people that will, but not very often.
Yeah, because again, looking at the plan, I guess one question was why the lower, I guess more southern entry point is a 2-way, but you're driving entry-only traffic on the northern entry.
So if I can, this will be maybe part of Heath's testimony in a second, but when we submitted the sketch to the Planning Commission, it had both as ingress egress.
Okay.
And the Planning Commission made the comment that we thought was a pretty good comment, that when you exit the tunnel, right there, to prevent any issues from a navigation standpoint, to funnel you right rather than up, so that you can either exit back onto Plaza or you could go and get your vacuum done. But by allowing you to make the left or the right, if someone's coming in, going up on Plaza, it could create some maneuverability.
So that's in response to feedback given by the Planning Commission. Okay. That makes sense, if that's what they want. Anybody else have questions? That was kind of it for my questions.
I had a couple questions just about existing conditions and change, because currently there's a white metal fence. Is that being removed and you're replacing fencing, or you're keeping that?
Do you know?
Sure, probably.
No, that's fine.
Probably got some more nice inputs there.
You can just, yeah. That's fine.
The dominant fence is in this area here. The existing building is literally right on the property line, and there's actually a couple of encroachments which may or may not be solved with the additional lighting in the new building.
So the ingress, egress of the site, because Tommy's is a chain, is this typical in terms of vehicle access?
That is very typical.
The rear exit kind of heading towards Wendy's, that edge, is that typical of your model, or?
It is. So we try to have full circulation around the site for the reason being that the people that are coming to vacuum, once they come out, it can kind of create a little choke if they're all trying to get out the same way as there's other people coming out of the tunnel into the vacuums. And so the more circulation there, the better. It just provides a safer flow.
Even using the Ben Salem example, there you go through the tunnel and then you can go back out by where, if you're familiar with, by the Interplex and the Wawa, you can go back out to the stoplight, or you can sort of take a similar maneuver like we have here out to the rear as an exit only. So it's very similar.
And then currently there's also like maybe 3-4 foot gravel buffer kind of between the main parking area. Then there's like a strip of gravel to the parking lot side. Is that staying, or?
We're going to be, we're going to be cleaning up this whole interface. Right now, as an example, this building, the existing building, is truly on the property.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're able to move it within the setbacks so that we have the setbacks will allow us to start blending those elevations and grades to make this work better than what's there.
Yeah, the paving component and the design, I mean, to be candid, if we purchased the property and we're maintaining the existing conditions, we wouldn't be here because it would just be an existing condition. But the act of resurfacing everything and reconfiguring it a bit led to a determination that it would be more prudent to go to the zoning hearing board for the ratification to clean up those exact same items to make a better functioning site.
And you didn't submit a demolition plan, but it sounds like, and you can confirm, you're demolishing pretty much all the existing conditions within your property line, correct? Okay.
That's correct.
No, that's fine. Anybody. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, great.
Do you have any idea of your construction schedule? And I only ask because they're building a dollar store currently that's pretty much taking up a third of the parking lot.
Yeah, but lucky. So, not to give ourselves no credit, but these are modular buildings, and so everything is contained on our site. So we won't be spilling over into any adjacent properties. The way that it'll work is once we begin construction, there will be demo, and there will be about a month or two of groundwork, and then about 6 months of actual construction. But like I said, everything is contained to our site. We even have smaller sites that we've developed, and we don't spill over into anything.
You don't need any external staging or anything like that.
The other thing, maybe I could volunteer it, fortuitously, Mr. Abrams was present, and there was information exchanged and discussion about the project. So to the extent there needs to be coordinated efforts, either for future redevelopment of the shopping center or current development of either site, I'm confident based on those.
He's the owner of the
shopping
to the south, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
South and west.
Okay. Anything else for Tom?
No.
You good? Okay. That's it for that one, right? And it doesn't. What do we do next? Because it doesn't seem like anybody's in opposition.
And
I have Mr. Bigwell, if you'd like him to go over anything else, I certainly don't need to belabor.
I mean, I don't really need to hear anything else.
I think he answered the questions that were asked of him. Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, do we need to ask if anybody's in opposition?
We can ask, but I think we know the answer again. Yeah. So I don't think there's any further evidence. I think that we can close this, and it doesn't look like there's any public comment, either pro or con. So at this point, the board will meet for an executive session for all intents and purposes to decide the applicant's case.
Thank you.
Did you yell at him? I was a roller coaster. That's instead, but actually, because I want to. It's nice. I should have, where I go. And please make sure it's taken care of, and I didn't do that, and I said,
That was funny. That was my response. Okay. There's your answer. Where's my thing? Okay. Do you read it first? Or?
I do, yeah. But before we go into our decision, Mr. McGinnis, I forgot to ask, and I think you forgot to volunteer the exhibits that you'd like to enter onto the record. Any? I know we have a certificate of service. I'd like to enter that into.
Certificate
So,
of service.
okay. Anything else?
Well, the site plan was submitted with the application. I don't think we need to admit that. And then I will state that I handed out, I don't know, memorabilia is not the right, informational packets about,
Business model.
about the business. If we can collectively mark that as A1 or something.
Yeah, well, we'll do the certificate of services A1, A2 will be the informational packet that you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So the variance of the applicant Chesapeake Pines PA 6 LLC is approved as to the following. Relief from section 465-38L to permit 12 parking spaces instead of the required 56 spaces. Relief from 465-40.A to permit 12 parking stalls to have a depth of 18 feet instead of the required 20, with no conditions as to the foregoing. And agree that the relief from section 465-40.D to permit 2 driveways was retracted by the applicant or removed as a pre-existing condition, and we're in agreement with that. So the project shall be carried out and the use shall be conducted in a manner consistent with the application, testimony, evidence, and representation of the applicant and its representatives at this hearing. The receipt of all permits and approvals from any agencies having jurisdiction over the same to the extent applicable. Applicant shall pay all borough expenses related to this application to the extent not already paid. The applicant shall comply with the rules, regulations, and ordinance of the borough, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the United States government, and particularly with the borough zoning ordinance and subdivision and land development ordinance, unless otherwise waived. Does the applicant accept these conditions?
We do.
And at this point, I'd like to ask for a statement of the vote of the board.
Oh,
I'd like to make a motion.
sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yes.
I motion to approve the application as previously stated.
I second.
All in favor of the motion? Yes,
Yes.
that motion passes.
So the motion passes unanimously. Just housekeeping, the board has 45 days to prepare a written decision. The written decision with findings of fact and conclusions of law will be mailed to the applicant and every other party seeking party status, which was Mr. Abrams. An appeal may be filed in the Court of Common Pleas of Bucks County within 30 days of the written decision if dissatisfied. If no appeal is filed, the decision of the board becomes final. And that concludes our hearing. The next meeting of the Morrisville Borough Zoning Hearing Board will be April 1st, 2024. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second.
All in favor of adjournment? Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good evening.